I'm Andy Deuchars. I'm the head brewer at Renaissance Brewing in Blenheim. It's in Marlborough, top of the south, the wine region. We have a small brewery there, does 2,000 liters at a go. We have 4 beers here today. The first is the Perfection Pale Ale. Next is Stonecutter Scotch Ale, Craftsman Chocolate Stout, and we have one on tap here at the Twisted Hop, which is the Little Ripa, which is a red rye IPA to be exact. First one we're trying today is the Perfection Pale Ale. It was one of the first brews that we made at the brewery. It's a British style pale ale. It's brewed with New Zealand malts, mainly New Zealand hops, but finished with Fuggles, which is a classic English hop. However, it's a New Zealand grown Fuggles, so it gives a slightly different flavor than your British beers there. So we'll open that up. This beer is mainly pale ale malt from Gladfield with a little bit of their specialty malts to add a little bit of body and color to that. There's a good hop nose, a biscuity kind of nutty malt flavor, a good bitterness like the British pale ales have, with just a bit of that hop flavor and aroma forward, not near as forward as a modern American IPA, for example. A little bit more balanced than that, a little bit more reserved. This kind of beer goes great with the traditional plowman's platter. It goes very nice with, well, such things as they have here, the Twisted Hop, like the calzone or the fish and chips. Kind of a nice all-round beer. Next one up is the Stonecutter Scotch Ale. It's really the flagship beer of Renaissance Brewing. Best known for, it's kind of the opposite of an IPA. Many beers nowadays just pile on more and more hops, showcase sexy hops like Citra or Mosaic or something, while Stonecutter is celebrating malt. It shows all the different ranges of flavors that malt can do. And I'm happy to say that now, except for the small amount of peated distilling malt in here, all the malts we use come from Canterbury as well, where they're grown and malted. 9 different malts are now used in the production of this beer, just to give layers of complexity. The nutty, biscuit, toffee, almost Christmas cakey notes that you can get from it. It's a big, complex beer, and at a low 7% alcohol, it's quite filling. So it's dark. It looks like we put, I don't know, black patent malt or chocolate malt in here. There's nothing darker in it than a crystal malt. It's just so much. So it has a nice kind of fruit cakey, kind of that burn bits of currants nose. Very little hop. It's rich, light bitterness, just enough to balance out those malts. Quite Moorish, actually. It goes really well with shortbread, of course, because it's a Scottish style. Also with meats, like a ribeye, and it goes very well with many desserts. Now we have our Craftsman Chocolate Oatmeal Stout, kind of our dessert beer. We've been making it every winter now for about 6 or 7 years. The thing about it, it's a nice full-bodied stout. There's a couple styles of stout. Most people are familiar with Guinness, which is an Irish dry stout. This is more the English sweet stout. The oatmeal stout, there's actually oatmeal in the grist, and that kind of gives a smooth, silky finish to it. Unlike some companies, we use cacao nibs to get the chocolatey flavor, which is essentially you roast cocoa beans and you break them up into bits, and that's the nibs. A chocolate manufacturer would go on from there and make them into chocolate, but we add it into the brew, mainly into the fermenter. We mainly dry nib it rather than dry hop it. So it's lightly hopped because chocolate has bitterness, and we don't want it to conflict with that chocolatey flavor. And the nibs give it the chocolatiness. We also round out that chocolate flavor with a little bit of Madagascar vanilla. I should say about 2 years ago, Rochelle at the Wellington Chocolate Factory, she came to me and she asked, "Hey Andy, I know you use cacao nibs in your beer. Would you be interested in organic, single source, fair trade beans that we buy in and then roast fresh and send right to you?" She eventually convinced me, and we go with the Peruvian cocoa that we've been very, very happy with. She roasts it fresh, grinds it into nibs, sends it right over to us. We use it up. It's got a lovely chocolate aroma to it, overlaying that beautiful stout, that silky, roasty coffee stout notes. Medium body to that. It's about 5% alcohol, so it's not a huge beer. It goes really well with a lot of things like roast venison, pork ribs, any kind of roast meats like that. It also goes great with desserts. Sticky date pudding, or flan, or creme brulee. The one warning, it doesn't match well with chocolate. If you have like a mud pie or a mud cake and chocolate, it doesn't do well at all. We learned that to our detriment one day. Almost everything else, you're sweet. The next beer is one that we have on tap here at the Twisted Hop. It's the Little Ripa. It's our Session Red Rye IPA. That's where the Ripa is, Rye IPA. The rye adds kind of a spicy earthiness to it, which really goes well with the big racy hop notes. It's very, very New World, very West Coast, hop forward, New Zealand and American hops in this. A nice good punch, but a lower alcohol at 4.7%, so it's a bit more sessionable. It goes very well with food, especially spicy food that can match the spiciness in the hops. Nice kind of pineapple-y, grapefruity, mandarin notes to the hops. Goes great with pizza, Indian food. A lighter body on this than some of our other Ripas, like the Black Ripa or the Bloody Ripa, which are our big bangers for those. But still very balanced, hop forward, not quite a delicious beer. Great if you don't know what else to do, and if you want to have maybe another beer during the night. Well, that is a good sample of some of the beers that we make at Renaissance Brewing. We make a bit broader range, everything from the lightest to the heaviest. We are available throughout New Zealand. We're available overseas, Australia, Canada, UK, and New Worlds are often where we're found, or Henry's, and of course we're often on a guest tap here at the Twisted Hop. Thank you for letting me show you my beers. Enjoy.